own in this world is your estate. And so, since we know that we're not going to be living on this earth forever, you need to plan. You need to plan as to, in the event that you become incapacitated, not being able to do the things that you used to do, or God calls you home. You want to make sure that you plan well. Now, what does estate planning involve? Or what does it include? Estate planning includes a will. A will. Now, what is a will? A will is a legal document that describes how you want your property and belongings to be disposed of when you die. Now, in other words, it tells the whole world who gets what if God calls you home. And so there are also the living trust or revocable trust, which is also a legal document or legal arrangement you create during your lifetime to manage and distribute your assets with the flexibility to change or cancel it at any time. Now, it helps you to avoid probate. That is the living will, the living trust or revocable trust. It helps you to avoid probate, maintain privacy, and ensure smoother assets transfer after you pass away. Another document that becomes part of your estate planning is power of attorney. Power of attorney. Power of attorney appoints someone to manage your financial affairs if you are incapacitated. There's also advanced healthcare directive. Advanced healthcare directive. Now, this document outlines your medical treatment preferences and appoints a healthcare proxy or someone. It outlines your medical preferences and appoints someone to make health care decisions if you are incapacitated. It's very, very important. Sometimes we get people come to us. Their family members are in the US because of sickness or some disease. They are in a nursing home. They cannot make decisions. I remember when my mom, passed away, she was in a hospital. There were certain decisions that she could not make. I had to draw up healthcare directive for my sister who was living with her to be able to make certain healthcare decisions affecting her life. And so, because in a hospital, you have to have such authority or such directive. Now, there's also beneficiary designations. Now, this ensures life insurance, retirement accounts, and other assets to go directly to named individuals. So, in other words, when you have life insurance, for example, your retirement benefits, you have to be able to designate beneficiaries. Now, if your life insurance, if you don't designate, you have to designate so that upon passing or something happens to you, the insurance company knows exactly who to contact to be able to appropriate that beneficiary. Also, we have guardianship designations. Some of us may have minor children or dependents with special needs. Now, you want to make sure that in your absence, these family members or children with special needs are taken care of. You don't want them to become the ward of the state or someone else. So once you are alive and you know that you have special needs child or children or guardians, you want to make sure that they are taken care of in your absence. We also have letter of intent, a non-binding document that shares your wishes, funeral plans, instructions for your executor. So these are generally some of the documents that encompasses what your estate planning is. Now, How beneficial is it? Why estate planning? Someone may ask. Well, it's very, very important because you need to plan how your estate is going to be when you are no longer here or you are incapacitated. One, estate planning helps to preserve family wealth. Again, let me repeat. Estate planning helps to preserve family wealth. You have worked so hard. God has blessed you. He has blessed you with assets. Now, you want to preserve those assets in the family. You don't want somebody, some non-family member or somebody else who has no idea how hard you worked for those assets to build your company, to build your career, to build your profession. Someone else to come and reap what you have toiled for at the expense of your own children. And so you want to preserve wealth. That is why you do a will. That is why you put in place a living trust or revocable trust. That is why you do these things. You want to preserve your family wealth. Another reason why family planning is important, family estate planning helps is to protect minor children. As I said, you may have minor children. You may have, children who may be under your guardianship. Now, you want to protect them so that in your absence, you know that you have instructed someone that you trust, someone that you believe will be able to handle your affairs in your absence. Now, estate planning also helps to ensure that your wishes are honored. We just buried a very close friend of ours, and before she passed away, I had to go there and prepare a will, and so make sure that in her absence, things are put in place well, so that her wishes are honored. Another reason, which is very, very important, as Ghanaians, as Africans, we fight over assets. We fight over things that you didn't work hard for. So one reason, very, very important, is to prevent family disputes. Prevent family disputes. You want to make sure that you have put in place will, living trust, designated beneficiaries, so that in your absence, there is no quarrel. There is no fight. Son or children are fighting amongst each other. Siblings are fighting over each other to take over this person's, assets that they had no idea how she acquired them. But because they are siblings, they are fighting. But when you put these things in place, there is nothing to worry. There is no fear. I've had to do this over and over and over because when somebody passes away, after the funeral and burial and everything, I get together the family and I read them the will. The will, what the decedent, what the deceased wanted in her absence, in their absence, so that there is absolutely no question. There's absolutely no dispute. There has been situations where somebody passes away, dies in the US, and family members in Ghana are calling. They know they have a house in Ghana, and they have a house in the US, and those in Ghana are asking, well, can you sell the house and bring us some of the money? Or can we come and we are coming to take over the house? And these people are very, very scared and worried. And I've had to console them. I have to assure them that, man, don't worry, because There's nothing that they can come and do from Ghana here in the US. As long as you are protected, as long as your loved one made sure that things were put in place, you have nothing to worry at all. And so, again, it is so important. Now, let me talk briefly about a will. Why is a will necessary? I've already said that a will is a legal document that describes how you want your property and belongings to be disposed of when you die, whether in the US, whether in Ghana, whether in the UK, wherever. But you want to make sure that you have put something on paper so that it avoids a lot of these things. One primary beneficiary of a will is to provide individual preference for distribution of assets. Again, to provide individual preference for distribution of assets. Now, you want to make sure that you choose someone, again, who you trust as the executor of your estate. Of assets. My brother, again, my sister, I want you to handle this for me in the event of my absence. Sure in the event that I am not around. This is how I want you to handle again, this. And so that is what will happen. Again, it provides the individual choice of personal representative. You know, if you don't have these things in place, and God forbid you pass away, and probate has to be opened, and estate has to be opened in the court. Now, there's an order of preference. Who can be appointed the personal representative of the estate? Now, the PR of your estate controls your estate. They make decisions that may affect your own children or your own minor children that may not be for your own benefit if you were around. And so it is so important that we put these things in practice. I mean, in effect. It also helps you to facilitate the probate process. Now, if God forbid you pass away, an estate has to be opened. You have to go through the court system to be appointed the PR of that estate. And that takes time, it takes money, it takes resources, it's a lot of stress on you. And so when you put these things in place, it helps to avoid some of these headaches in the event that you are not around. Now, I'm going to talk briefly on trust, and then I'll pass it over to Mami Sapong in Ghana to also give us the Ghana perspective. Okay, to give us the Ghana perspective. Now, what is a trust, a living trust or revocable trust? As I said, it is also a document that helps you to avoid probate, maintain some privacy about your assets, and ensures smoother asset transfer after your death. Now, so you can put certain assets of yours into a living trust. Okay, so you can put your house into a trust. But again, it gives you that feature of privacy, that you are able to maintain the privacy that you want. It can be done while you are still alive. It is done while you are still alive. And you can be the trustee of that trust that you have created. Now, which is better for you? Whether the trust or the will? Again, it depends. It depends. If you use a trust, you use a will, if you need to name some guardians for minor children, you have a simple estate, and you are comfortable with probate, and you want a straightforward, lower cost option. I mean, it's very straightforward. Now, if you use a revocable trust, now you want to avoid probate also, but you also want to maintain some privacy. Now, if you have some complex assets or own property in multiple jurisdictions, you own property in Ghana, in the US, you need to maybe consider a trust, or you want someone to manage your assets if you become incapacitated. But one best practice is that you can use both. You can use both. You can use a will, or you can have a will, and you can also have a trust at the same time as a best practice. And so at this point, I'm going to end here, and then there'll be a Q&A at the end. And that is where we can be able to hone in on some of your specific questions. So without much ado, I'm going to hand over to my colleague in Ghana, Dr. Lawyer Mami Sapon, to also give us another perspective. Thank you.
Okay,
Mami?
so thank you. Yes, please. Thank you very much for that presentation. I'm going to share my slides. I have a few slides, just really talking about the situation in Ghana as it pertains in Ghana. So I will share my slides, and then thereafter, when we have the Q&A, we will you'll be able to ask any questions. Sorry.
Clap it together. I'll be right out.
Thank you. Okay. Sorry, just 1 second. Okay, so hello, Ajo. I don't know if you can see my slides.
Yes, we can.
Okay, great.
Did you want to just hit view slideshow?
Right, okay. Let me just put it in slide view. So I don't know if it's better now. Is that fine?
Yes,
Can you see?
that's perfect. Thank you.
Okay. All right. So from where I am is good evening. Once again, and Lofori, thank you so much for the opportunity. And Adra, thank you for putting this through. So I'm just going to be looking at the Ghanaian aspect. So when we talk about estate planning, particularly for Ghanaians in the diaspora, we're really talking about two legal worlds. So we're looking at the US system, the really formal US system where you have wills, trust. Lofori has talked about that, and healthcare directives. And we're looking at that. We're looking at also that in Ghana, which really overlays customary law, statutory law, and then some family dynamics. So my role really today is to try and demystify the Ghanaian side, as Loyofori has taken us to what pertains in the US. So Ghana has a unique system. You know, we, as I said, we blend custom with modern governance, and inheritance can vary depending on where the person comes from. So, you know, we have the matrilineal system and we have the patrilineal system. And so when you're talking about real estate planning, then this where you have assets in both places, or you have assets in America, you have assets in Ghana, then you really need to be deliberate about how you secure or plan your estate. Else you face a lot of disputes, as we've already been told, and I'm sure we're already experiencing, and then also delays and then high costs. Now, there are types of interest in land. So let's look at, okay, so that types of interest in land. I see some questions. I'm sure we'll take that at the Q&A. So the types of interest in land. And so when you're planning your real estate, you should be thinking of land titling and documentation. And I know Danny will take us to the business aspect, but really the types of interest that we have are leaseholds, we have freeholds, and then we have customary grants, as well as government or vested lands. So usually a leasehold is between 50 to 99 years. And then the customary grants, this is where a lot of disputes arise. The customary grants come from chiefs and families. And then we have the government lands or the vested lands. Now, these have special procedures, and these are really within the preserve of the Lands Commission, because the Lands Commission in Ghana is the custodian of government lands. Now, you really need to be careful when you say you're in America and you say, oh, I've acquired land in Ghana, or I'm acquiring land in Ghana. And in these days of like social media, etc., somebody can stay in America and then by WhatsApp say, oh, I've purchased a parcel of land, will like spend so much money, comes to Ghana and is disappointed because there actually isn't really any any land for you. So to the critical documents you should be looking at in the event where you say you've acquired a land, first of all, is your indenture or your deed of assignment. Now I'm sure this also happens in America, but you cannot acquire an interest in land by word of mouth. You need to have a document which outlines the tenure, for example, the ownership, the kind of leaseholder, the kind of interest that you have acquired. And so the first document you would want to look at is your deed of assignment or your indenture, right? And then more critically, a land title certificate. So this is when you've gone through the registration process and you have a land title certificate which confirms your ownership from the Lands Commission. And then attached to the land title certificate or your indenture, you should have a site plan. Now, this site plan obviously is going to show the coordinates of the land, the location of the land, and this should be done by a licensed surveyor. And building permits or ground rent receipts, as the case may be. So if you're putting up a building, then you ought to then have your building permit and then receipt of ground rent if the land is a leasehold. And also where it's a customary land, then you should have some documentation, at least receipts verifying or proof of payment showing that you have made some payments for the land. And where you obtained or where your grantors, so the people you acquired the land from, obtained it by way of inheritance, then you should cite the will and then the vesting assent, which is naming your grantors as the beneficiary. So if you're saying you've acquired land in Ghana, you should then be looking at the documentation by which you say you've acquired the land. Which one of these do you have, or do you have any of these at all before you can say that, or you have some land or some property in Ghana? Now, why is this important? Why do we need to have proper documentation of our assets in Ghana? Unlike the US, a lot of things in Ghana are largely undocumented. So even though now we're moving towards formal conveyancing, a lot of things are undocumented. And so in the absence where somebody passes on, it becomes difficult to actually even gather the estate to be able to distribute them among the beneficiaries. So without proper documentation, it becomes difficult to take probate. Now in Ghana, as compared to America, when we say somebody takes probate, it is when somebody passes on and the person has a will and has named executors, and the executors go to court to actually get the mandate to distribute the assets of the deceased person according to the will of the testator, then that is probate. So we're saying that it's important to have proper documentation over your assets if you live in America and you have assets in Ghana, it's proper to have documentation, because then in the event where you pass away, and we will all pass away one day, so in the event where you pass away, then it's easier to gather your estate so that the named beneficiaries are able to benefit. And it's also easier to deal with the banks. These, as I said, these days we've moved towards largely documenting our assets, and so the banks where you want to take a loan or your beneficiaries want to do some form of transaction, the banks are going to go with proper land titles. Where you want to get a mortgage, you need to have a land title over the properties. And also, I think Lorofori has spoken about this, but um families face double claims. So you've acquired family property in Ghana, you don't have proper documentation. The next minute there's a change in the lineage. So there's a next heir to the throne, especially in Accra and Kumasi, these peri-urban areas. There's a change in the throne, and then somebody comes to say that you don't own the land and you have to buy it. So I know people who've purchased land, about two or three from the same family. So when you have proper documentation, let's say you have a land title certificate, it's difficult for the family to now come and challenge your ownership. And also, I talked about the fact that in Ghana, we have our laws are a mixture of customary law and also common law. So somebody passes on, and the person's family or the customary successor comes to lay claim over the property and even throws the proper or the original beneficiaries out. So it's important that you gather your estate, make sure that you have proper documentation over your assets in Ghana, the lands that you have acquired, ensure that you have the proper documentation. Now let's look at what happens when somebody passes on. So let's say somebody passes on in Ghana with a will. In that instance, you're saying that the person has passed on testate. And so a valid Ghanaian will then will override what the customary law rule says. So when somebody has said, well, you're not going to be talking about who is inheriting him, whether it's the matrilineal, you don't even need a representative of the person's family when you're taking probate. So when you have a valid will, then we've trumped all those customary law processes. Now, a will to be properly executed in Ghana must be in writing, and it should be signed by the testator in the presence of two independent witnesses who also append their signatures in the presence of each other. And so when we're executing a will, the testator is signing it in the presence of the two independent witnesses. They need not necessarily see the contents, but the two witnesses should be present. And when they are also signing, they should also do it in the presence of each other. So these days, what we do is to record it and then save it in a cloud. So in our offices, that's what we do, so that when somebody comes to challenge the will, which happens a lot in Ghana, somebody passes on and the family members come and say that the will was not even his deed. So we actually take videos and then we save it, so that in the event where the person passes on and there's a challenge to the will, we can go to court and then show that, right? So and another key requirement of a will is that the person should have executors who, upon his demise, will go to court and then take probate. Now, when they take probate, what it means is that they acquire, or the court gives them now the right to executes the will in accordance with the wishes of the testator. So the executors take probate and then they distribute the assets as is stated in the will. But where somebody passes on without a will, then it's governed by the PNDC Law 111, which is the Interstate Succession Law. And with that one also, you still have to go to court to take what we call letters of administration. And that also clothes the administrators, as it were, with the authority to deal with the estate. And interstate succession law has the proportions that the property of a deceased person should, or how it should be distributed in the event where the person passes on without a will. And so there's a proportion for spouse and children who are supposed to be their primary beneficiaries. Then the parents also receive a portion in their absence, the customary family. So depending on whether or not the person is matrilineal or patrilineal, they also then receive their share among others. Now, this is of so much importance. So we're looking here at cross-border estates. So let's say somebody passes on in the US and has property in Ghana. So has not doesn't have a will in Ghana to cover the property. The US will doesn't automatically, or a US will is not enforceable in Ghana because we're dealing with two sovereign states. And so once you have property in Ghana and you live in the US and you pass on, two things have to happen. Either local probate is taken off the property in Ghana, or that it should still be brought to Ghana, be cited by a court so that it is resealed. In other words, even if you do a will in US and you're saying what should be done to your property in Ghana, your wishes would be adhered to, but that would be after it has gone through a court, a judge has cited it, and we have asked it to domesticated that US will. That is when you can then be dictating or by your will stating what should happen to your property. Now, why must you plan? I think Loyofori has taken us through this. But one main reason why you should plan is also to avoid family conflicts. Recently, or in recent times, Ghanaians are really being more nuclear minded, but largely we live in big families, and the extended family really has a say. Even when somebody passes on, the body belongs to the extended family, right? So it's really important to plan when you have assets or property in Ghana to avoid family conflicts. Okay, so when you have a will, you have put you've prepared yourself, as it were, then the family or the extended family interference is really limited because you've actually stated what should be done in your absence. Now, unlike America or unlike the US, Ghana doesn't really have these advanced directives that you talk about. So how you appoint persons in your absence, etc. But we use powers of attorney, so you person for medical reasons. So, for example, your funeral instructions, burial instructions, you could appoint somebody to do that. The challenge, though, is that most often these burial instructions are actually deposited in court as a will. And so it is usually read, and the will is read after the demise of the testator. So most of the time, these burial instructions, by the time they are read, the person has long been buried. So it's advisable then to tell somebody, tell a close family member, or send an email to somebody so that the person would be able to tell the family what your wishes were prior to your demise. And usually in the very traditional families, they may not even listen, because that's when a person passes on. It really is that the body in Ghanaian tradition is for the family, so you could tell somebody, but those things don't really work in our side of the world. And I'm waiting. There's been some form of lawsuit where a beneficiary is challenging family for not adhering to the wishes of the deceased family. So just to conclude, if we're to ask or to look at a checklist for diasporan families who also have property in Ghana, it'd be best to have two wills to cover your property in both jurisdictions, because as I said, these are sovereign jurisdictions, and ensure that your property is titled. So moving into that, seek legal advice before purchasing land in Ghana. I have family friends who have say they've purchased land in Ghana, they have family members putting up buildings for them. And anytime they ask for photos, they go and take somebody's photos and send to them, and they come to Ghana and they are so disappointed. So you can't be sitting in US and say that, oh, I have property in Ghana when you've not secured it. So as much as possible, seek legal advice, and then also ensure that your property is titled, and then keep an updated file. So both hard copies and soft copies, so you can put together your site plans, your land title certificates. Because you see, when you don't keep these documents and they are even registered, there are instances where issues happen, and even in the lands commission or at the lands commission, people's legitimate interests have been wiped off. So when you have these documentary proof, then in those events you can go to court and challenge it to say that, well, in 10 years ago, when you conducted a search at the lands commission, I had interest, but now I cannot find it, or it's not there anymore, so something must have happened. Okay, and then you update your will after major life changes. So you've acquired more property in Ghana. It's best to update your will, even though in a will we have a residual clause. So the residual clause essentially says that in the event where you die, and you have some property you haven't devised to anybody, then it should go to the people that you name. But at least it's best to update your will when you have major life changes concerning your property in Ghana. So it's really important that, as I said, you gather your estate, you put your estate together, because you're out there breaking your back and you have an extended family waiting to pounce on your beneficiaries when you are not there. And so it's important that you document, and then you ensure that your property is in place. And Ghana's legal system protects families, but you see, this protection can only be when we if we work with it and not really against it. So proper documentation, a well drafted will, when you have cross-border planning, it can prevent frustrations and family disputes. So really the goal is to ensure that what you've worked so hard for, wherever you are, so what you've worked so hard for in Accra, Kumasi, from Atlanta or New York, or wherever life has taken you, actually goes to who you really wanted to, or where you intend to go. So it's really important that we put our estates together, especially with respect to our property in Ghana. So thank you very much, and I'll be happy to take any questions when we have the Q&A. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mame. That was a wealth of information, as well as Mr. Ofori. That was a wealth of information. Just a reminder that we will be taking questions live, and it'll be wonderful if you know that you have a question, to start submitting them into the chat box, so that we can prioritize questions, okay? So first, the early bird gets the worm, as they say, right? So because we will not get to everybody. So if you didn't put your question in there, now I'll, as the Niger folks will say. Okay, Danny, over to you. You know, bringing in particularly the real estate picture in this conversation, because really that's where a lot of the fights tend to be when it comes to estate planning. So do you want me to pull up your slides, or are you controlling?
Hi, good evening, everyone. It's a wonderful opportunity to be in the presence of greatness. Adjo, I think you should pull my screen for me.
Okay.
The lawyers have spoken beautifully about planning of an estate, will, probate, and all that. But like I always say, without we, the business people, the lawyers don't have a job. We are the foundation of everything that they do. So it's important that you would really acquire enough assets before you are able to plan your will and all that. So I am the CEO of Royal Kingdom Estate, CEO and founder of Royal Kingdom Estate. My name is Danny Elikplim Angels. And Royal Kingdom Estate, to start with, has been meticulously crafted as a purpose-driven real estate brand in Ghana. Why do we say we are a purpose-driven real estate brand in Ghana? Ghanaians in the past, working in the West, have worked so hard sending money back home to contribute their quota to the development of the country and to also own some asset back home. I mean, the screen is off.
Oh, you can't see the screen?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Let's see, it's full screen. Okay, is this better?
Yes, it's better.
Okay.
So people send money back home to just buy a piece of land, and it has become a huge challenge. The second part is people acquire land and they want to build progressively, because some people are on very modest incomes in the West. Just to build something progressively, 5 to 10 years, 8 years, they send their money back to families, friends to help them acquire these properties and develop it for them, and has become a major challenge. So Royal Kingdom Estate, having analyzed all these issues, myself working in various industries in Ghana, and at one point working in hospitality, where I had people coming to lodge in the hotel, and you hear all horror stories. We decided that we are going to be the change makers. We are going to be the agent of change. And I bring you good news this evening to say that in our 7 to 8 years of operation, we have been very, very much involved in the evolution of real estate in Ghana, especially among the people of the diaspora. I'm just returning from a 5 intercity state tour, where we were the lead sponsors of Ghana Lifestyle and Property Expo, where I met Mr. Ofori. I was one of the speakers, and himself. We went to 5 different states, called the Bridge to Ghana Tour, dubbed the Bridge to Ghana Tour by ourselves, just to bring the opportunities close to you, to let you know that there's a new Ghanaian, there's a new African on the horizon, and this new Ghanaian thinks differently. This new Ghanaian wants to work and empower our people economically, and we believe that real estate is one of the surest way for you to preserve your wealth generationally. So I'll take you through the story, what we've done so far, and also show you what opportunities are available with us, because like Dr. Mami said, it's not easy acquiring a property in Ghana, and Royal Kingdom Estate has managed to build a one-stop shop. What is our one-stop shop? If you acquire land in Ghana, you say, you know what, I need a reputable construction firm that can design and build for me. We call it turnkey. Royal Kingdom Estate provides that service. If you say, you know what, I just want to acquire a land, I don't want to buy any building because I don't know the materials that have been used, I cannot trust any building, I want to build my bespoke home, we have lands available for you to be able to buy. If you say, you know what, I want apartment in the prime area, when I come to Ghana, I want to be able to just block those dates and stay close to the airport and go back and work from there, work from home, Royal Kingdom Estate is your trusted brand for that. If you say, you know what, I am in the West, I don't intend to come back anytime soon, but I want to invest, contribute to the building of the country, and also get some residual income from there. We have properties in the prime and area that you can buy, Airbnb them with time. We have all plan agreement. We have payment plans and all that. You are able to acquire that as well. Now, the story of Royal Kingdom Estate. What we have built is a people-centric, young, vibrant Ghanaians who are what? Knowledge-based. It is very important that in our part of the world where attention to detail, discipline, is not the order of the day. Customer service, which I believe that should be taught right from primary school, is very key. We have been able to fine-tune all this and build a brand that the people of the diaspora can connect to, the people even back home can connect to. So currently our key market, about 85% of our clients are diasporans, because we make sure that, one, we pay attention to detail. Number two, which is very key in the real estate industry, is to bridge that trust deficit in the past. And what we seek to do is to exceed your expectation. Please, let's go forward. Let's move forward. Now, it's important that if you want to invest in real estate in Ghana, you look at the structure of a company. Who is selling the property to you? Please, let's move to the next page. You have to look at who is selling the property to you. Is the person hiding in some corner and telling you they have property somewhere? We have built what we call a well-structured corporate governance structure, where within the office, we have right from lead generation, lead management, lead closure, all the way to post-closure. On all these three fronts, we have a department to be able to take care of you. Please, next. These are our services, which I spoke about already. Please, next. So again, Royal Kingdom Estate is a wholly owned Ghanaian company built by ourselves, the young folks. We've come together to just change the narrative. And if you come to our office, we have two offices, one in Chado, one in Cantonment. It's largely been built around young individuals. The average age in our office is around 38, our staff, 38 years, 40, between 40, because we want to grow this brand to make it a generational brand that people back home and abroad will be able to now find a place that they can finally call home to say, you know what, if I've worked hard in the West, I need to put my money behind it. It's not owned by a Chinese or Asian or anybody, but you should know that when you're working with a company like this, it's not just buying property. It's not just about brick and mortar. It is about contributing your quota to the building of legacy, to building of the motherland. So I'm the founder, and please, let's go down. Let's go down. So again, like I said, the structure is very important. It's where you don't just have somebody in the corner just telling you know what, I can assist you with this property. We have a board. We have lawyers, 7 on it. We have civil engineers. We have financial expert, chartered accountant. And as you can see, this is the management group. The women are represented in there. You can see down there, very beautiful ladies from Ghana. Again, one of the things that we want to do is to prevent the brain drain. We want to be able to build a brand that absorbs the various talents that we produce from the universities. In our organization, there are opportunities for people in the creatives, people in finance, people in marketing. So diverse groups. Even with time, very soon we are going to do occupational medicine, where we'll have clinics within the organization, and medical practitioners will also be working from there as well. So our vision is holistic. It's not just, like I said, about brick and mortar. We want to be able to contribute our quota to the development of our country. Two things that we are passionate about. We are genuinely passionate about development of Ghana, number one, and we are genuinely passionate about Black and African excellence, which means that when even in difficult times, these two things, because we are passionate about it, we did not just enter real estate to make money, and it is our vision and mission to make sure that we impact lives. And I'll show that on the next slide. Next. Again, let's go forward. So again, one of the things that we take so seriously is our corporate social responsibility. I believe that when God blesses you, you must let others who are less privileged be part of your story. And what is a blessing without giving back to society? So we've identified key needs, especially in the communities that we acquire land and develop. We buy these lands from families, from chiefs and stews. What we've identified is in our contract with them, we ask them to give us not less than 5 brilliant but needy students from the family for us to be able to sponsor them, offer them scholarships. Because the more we can get our people educated, the right education, the better our problems are going to be solved in the nearby future. Because If we don't get our youth educated properly, then we have a big challenge. So we've identified that we need to help some of these students, offer them scholarships. We do that through our corporate social responsibility. We've also adopted 2 orphanages, one in Gomwa, Hope City, Hope, and then the other in Adenta, Konyamidia. And we've also supported them every year. We go twice a year to make donations and add cash just to support them, because like I said, we are not just a brick and mortar company. We want our impact. We want to be the reason why people like yourself in the West will say, you know what, we want to what? Come back to Ghana. These guys are doing it. If they are doing it, we want to do it. And we're also saying that sometimes perhaps you don't even need to relocate, but you can already invest in a thriving and a disciplined and well-run real estate brand in Ghana and be able to be part of the building of the country. Because I know some of you, what you just want is, to contribute your quota, because I know how dear you guys cherish our country. And I always say that we want to be able to build our country in such a way that people like yourself can come back and contribute and be happy and not be frustrated. So we are very big on that corporate social responsibility. Please, Ness. Yes, those are some of the pictures, some of the donations we did last year. Yeah. Again, yeah. So when it comes to real estate, what Royal Kingdom Estate has built something very unique. We target all segments of the market. We've provided opportunities for people to own land. One of the things that we've identified is that when you go to top areas in Ghana, you realize that infrastructure is a problem. There were times I went to Trazaco and the road leading to the place was horrible. So you ask yourself, the houses are expensive, but what happens to the infrastructure? So we are saying that we are going to create a model that is going to help build infrastructure. One, the current housing deficit in Ghana is close to 2 million housing units. What do we do? I hear people say affordable housing, affordable housing. What is affordable to you may not be affordable to the other person. So we are of the firm belief that we will create a blueprint, build a community, plug and play. In Ghana, the government does not bring the infrastructure into the development. The developer has the sole responsibility of making sure that you build your infrastructure. So Royal Kingdom Estate, having thought carefully about what people are saying affordable housing, wants to offer the opportunity for people to do what? Own land, and also to promote land banking. But this land should not just be bare lands. We want to be able to build this land, have drains, sidewalks, green spaces, so that when you come in, you just come, buy the land, you just start building your house, and you can live there today. So we've acquired 500 acres in Ebiri, and that project has taken off. We started way back with another model which has come to an end. We are now starting what we call prime lands. Next, prime lands, so that when you come, you have the roads asphalted, you have the drains. This is it. You have the drains, you have the solar farm. Everything is there. So all you have to do is to just acquire land, and then you build your house. We feel that this model, we want to replicate close to 1,000 acres in every region in Ghana, because as real estate developers, we are nation builders. We are agents of infrastructure. We provide jobs, we build the country, because if we can replicate this model and be able to have 16,000 across the country, take development to the people, because not everybody can acquire property close to the airport. And it's also good to decentralize infrastructure, take it to the people, expand the infrastructure deficits of our country, and force the political actors to say, you know what, let's come to these guys, let's bring opportunities there, send the banks there, send the infrastructure, let's take the malls to decongest the capital city, because the capital is choked, it's condensed, everybody wants to be there. That's why property is expensive. I want to live in Ghana one day and see people coming all the way from Akosombo through alternative means of transportation and come to, work in Accra, use the train, come to Accra, and then go back to wherever they are coming from. Somebody should be able to come from Suhum, Winneba, all those outskirts, Koforidia, just to come. And that is the only way we are going to develop Ghana, because Ghana does not evolve only in Accra. Ghana is big. We need to take the development to all the places. So this model, we are going to replicate it, and we will discuss the pricing. It's currently selling at, the plot of land is selling at $10,000, and the infrastructure fee is $20,000. But that will be paid within a 2 years period. If you want to pay outright, we'll give you a discount of $3,000, because we believe that if you can pay early, then it also helps the developer to also complete the infrastructure development. And these are entry prices. I'm currently in London. People are subscribing to it. I'm coming back from America. A lot of people have bought into it already. We have a payment plan. We'll help you with the registration of your title. You don't need to struggle and be running to Lands Commission. We are going to help you, assist you, and do everything for you. So again, annual return on investment is very key. Like, again, land banking is very important. I'll give you a personal testimony. I have an apartment at Easterport called The Decade. Some years back, I invested in 50 acres of land. And in 2020, we sold off that land and were able to build an 8-unit, 2-bedroom, fully furnished Airbnb with a swimming pool on the rooftop, just through that investment. So the power, one of the biggest places that you can invest your money is under the earth. There's a reason why 60% cases in court today in Ghana is all land related, because it has become a primary commodity. Everybody wants a piece of it. But that is why Royal Kingdom Estate is, with the greatest of humility, is special. We have mastered the art and craft of land acquisition. We work with top legal firms, and myself and my team, we are on the ground. Everybody's well educated. The least ranked person even in our company owns the Land Act, which is the mother of all land administration document, which guides, and we know what is the rudiment of the game. We understand even before we even acquire the level of due diligence, not just the usual one that the lawyers will do. We do what is called informant fact check. We go undercover to really do our investigations. They say if you want to know the truth in a village, speak to the drunkard or the taxi driver. They have all the facts. We go down there, speak to them, the ownership. We get all the information. We do our contact with the Lands Commission, helps us to do every search that we have to do. And we really make sure we dot the I and cross the T's. So by the time you acquire property from us, we've done almost 99% of the work for you. Please, next. Again, the prime lands. I believe that some people want to buy land, but some people also don't have the time to buy land. They just want to buy existing homes. We have a model which is in Eburi, which is called Prime Homes. Next, please. Next. Prime Homes. This is very key. I love this model because the real estate is supposed to be friendly to the environment. I see people cut down the trees. We want to build a community that is green, that is sustainable. You wake up in the morning, you hear the birds chirping. So we have a model called Prime Homes in Eburi. And this model seeks to promote holistic and wellness. The life expectancy of Africans is reducing. We need to go back to our culture, live healthy. The Asians have proven that, yes, you can combine both how do you call it, contemporary architecture with your culture and make it unique. Let's build with big windows, nice green spaces, plant more trees. So this development promotes that. And we have 5 different models that we have designed. You come, you choose the one that you like. We are currently starting, we've broken ground already. Off-plan is selling our off-plan. We have the various homes. Please go to the next slide, please. So again, we've designed something for everybody. This is a 4-bedroom townhome. And guess what? We don't want to take you to the outskirts, countryside living, and for you to live in a very tight space. So each of these buildings is sitting on a full plot with green spaces and allotment at the back. And the biggest joy for me is to say what? there's a model with this, which is we have created what is called a farmyard. And if you acquire any of these properties, we will give you a plot of land for free for farming. So we want you to grow your food. We want you to eat from your farm. And we are going to provide you a plot of land within the farmyard. So you wake up, the concept is you wake up in the morning, you go into your garden, you plug your fruits, your whatever it is, and you come back home. And you come back to meet a beautiful, stunning architecture, which again is beautiful, is clean, is nice, is green. But again, you are living like an African. Next model, please. Again, can you imagine an $89,000 is buying you a small studio, very tiny one in Cantonment or Chado or somewhere, is able to give you a two-bedroom semi-detached. Again, our real estate philosophy is to really do what the clients want, is to solve problems. We call it purpose-driven real estate. We don't just want to impose a design on the market. What we've done is we've realized that upon our survey or research, we realized that there are people who are in advanced age. They just don't want to climb the stairs. They want just a simple bungalow, no climbing, nothing, their knees and all that. We've designed something that is a bungalow. Again, the next model, please. Next model. I spoke about eco-friendly. Next, please. Next. Again, so these are the models. We have two-bedroom semi-detached. This is the only one. So please go back a bit. Go back again. So this model, for instance, for somebody who doesn't want to climb the stairs and all that, they can just have this. And it's two-bedroom split into two. There's only a very tiny wall. Again, we don't want to build walls like it's a prison yard. Keep it green, open space, let fresh air come into it. And two families can even have this. The children can be in the other two. The parents can be in the other two. You can always acquire. And again, there is a huge market, which people don't know. There's a huge market. People want to buy these kind of homes. They want to live close to nature, quiet space. So today, if you have any of this unit, you want to Airbnb, have people reaching out from the state, from the UK that, we are coming to Ghana. We don't want to live close to the airport. We want to have a clean area, nice, this kind of place. Again, the infrastructure is going to be there. We'll have the schools. We have the communities. What we want to do is to create a farmers market, and anybody that grows food within the community must bring it there for us to buy. Again, it's also helping the local economy, making sure that we patronize them. Farmers are there producing, and we are taking them into the farmers market, eating green, eating fresh from the farm. Again, this is the double three-bedroom semi-detached duplex. You guys call it duplex. We call it semi-detached. Next model, please. Again, this is a three-bedroom bungalow with green spaces. Next, please. And this is 129. Again, this is three-bedroom, and this is the facade. This is exactly how we get. This has been designed by our one-stop shop team. We have architects in the office, quantity surveyors, structural engineers. Next model, please. Next. So again, these are the various renderings that we have. If you come, you choose the one that you like. Yes. Again, our real estate philosophy, like I said, we said we want to change the narrative about real estate in Ghana. So how do we make that holistic impact if we don't contribute to every segment of the market? Like I indicated earlier, people want to just buy. Some people don't want to live in the countryside. They want to have an apartment close to the airport where they can come to Ghana. They block the date. They stay in it for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, work from home, secured internet, beautiful, close to the airport, close to all the actions within the capital city. We have acquired an acre of land in Chado. If you don't know where is Chado, Chado is close to East Airport, just about 5 minutes from the airport hills. High network people live in that area. It's one of the most sought after locations right now in Ghana. And we've just broken ground for this project again. Very ambitious project, 98 unit mixed use development. It's called The Future. It's called The Future. It's going to have pool, gym, all the amenities are going to be there, because we believe that it should be a place that when you get there, you can stay there indoor for 1 week or stay within the apartment for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, because some of you want to work from home. When you travel, you want to connect with your people, and people are tired of the hotel where they want to cook their food. They want to, go to the kitchen and come. So just like an Airbnb apartment where they have some freedom, again, it offers you one of the best locations that you can get. Chado probably, arguably, at the current rate, is the topmost proximity. It takes you to Nungwa. La Beach is there. The redevelopment trade fair, which is currently ongoing, is there. It takes you to Palace Mall. It takes you to Nungwa, Spintex, Tema, Cantonment, Lands Commission. It's just so central, and it's one of the most sought after locations now. A plot of land there is $250,000 cedis at the moment, dollars at the moment. So we have decided to acquire an acre, again, just to make sure that we have the opportunities for you guys to select from, and everybody can get something. We are actually providing, we've done a market survey and we realized that some of the apartment, even though the prices are okay, it's too tiny. Like me, I'm 6 foot plus, I have a long legs. Some of those apartments, when I sleep in it, it's even difficult to be able to even, feel free. So we've created one of the biggest spaces when it comes to apartment. So a studio is going for 79,000 cedis. Again, with the payment plan, is currently all going. By the time we finish that project, $79,000 will be worth close to $125,000 to $130,000. So again, it's a good time to plug into it. Like we say, you are planning, but you need to invest first before you can even plan your estate. And again, it's good to build and put your resources into real estate, a genuine. You are never going to get it wrong. Nothing gives you more a return on investment than real estate. And in Ghana, where the return on investment is quite high, like this Airbnb now at the East Port Chado, you're able to get close to, how do you call it, almost 12 to 18% per annum per yield. So it's quite a very good and lucrative venture to get involved in. Yes. Next
Sorry,
screen, please.
I want to make sure we have enough time for the questions. But if you want to make sort of your final point, Danny, then I'm sure there will be a lot of people in your DMs anyway. So the floor is yours for just 1 minute closing before we go to questions.
Yes. So in totality, I would say that again, finding that reputable brand to work with in our country is the most difficult aspect. What we have built is to build something that is trusted, something that has opportunities. We've just acquired another property in Osu and want to build what is called the African Renaissance. And anybody who is interested in even working on partnership or investment or anything else, you are welcome, because the time is now. They say the best time to buy property was yesterday, and the right time to buy property is today. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that. We wanted to make sure that we weren't just talking about protecting and retention and preservation, but also opportunity. So I hope you guys jump on it. GHBAC, we pick our partners very carefully. Our endorsement means that, these are not people, not just trying to make money, but, have a bigger vision in mind, how we're contributing to development in the country. And I hope we understand, I hope you heard some of the things he was saying, that planning for the future is so important right now, because it will leave you behind. But we have some questions I want to get to. And I'm going to say some of these out loud, even though, Mr. Fori, you were already starting to answer them in the chat, only because of those who may be watching on the live stream. So there's a gentleman, or I believe, I don't know, gentleman or woman, YO, asked, thank you all for your time today. How do people typically handle US and Ghana taxes if they decide to live in the US and acquire property in Ghana? Is there a form you need to file in the US? If you're not getting income from the property and possibly spending money to keep up the property, do you still need to file something in the US every year? I believe, Mr. Ofori, you were beginning to answer that question.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I think I responded that, well, certainly if the property is in the US, here in the US, you have to file your annual taxes. Um, you have to file your annual taxes and make a lot of declarations. So this is more of a tax question, and that we'll be happy to direct you to a certified public accountant or a CPA who will properly tell you which form or forms you have to use. And so we can provide that to you off the air if you wish.
Okay.
Thank
Okay. Any follow-up questions from that? If not, I'll go to the next question. What are the benefits of a revocable trust versus a living trust? Can a trust be domiciled in the US, own or contain property in Ghana? Are there limits to the ownership if the trust is not a trust established in Ghana? Should I?
Okay. Okay, living trust and a revocable trust are basically the same instrument. As I said, a living trust is one that you can change or you prepare during your lifetime, and you have to be able to uh, transfer those assets into a trust. I mean, I've had some clients who have bought properties here in the US from Ghana who have placed them in trust. And they've appointed themselves as the trustee. Now, so you have to be able to um, put those assets into a trust and be able to change it over time as long as you are still alive. Now, one of the benefits is that the trust is private, unlike a will where you have to, here in the US, you have to file it with the registrar of wills, and at a time upon death, then it has to be disclosed. Now, one thing is that with the trust, it has to be funded. Now, what do I mean by funding? I mean, you have some assets, you have some properties, you may just be saying it that, oh, I'm going to put it in a trust, but you have to actually do the actual transfer. If it's in your name, you have to actually have an attorney or someone help you to change it from your name into the living trust. So you can call it maybe the Kwaku Ofori Living Trust. And so you title those assets, you title those properties into the trust, and you manage it. And so that is what it is. As opposed to now, you can also, if you want to change that as well, for example, if you know that your children, you are going to give your property to your children. Now, one way to avoid all that is that, okay, let me add my children to the deed or to the title, so that in the event that I am not around, they are already co-owners of the property anyway, and I know that upon my death I'm going to give it to them. So that avoids probate as well, so that when you pass away, it automatically transfers to them. But there are ways. That is why also you can also have the will, put it in a will that upon your passing, the property goes to your children.
Thank you so much,
Okay.
Mr. Ofori. Any, I don't know, I saw a few people come off mute. Any follow-up questions to that before I move on to another question? Okay, all right. A question received is, what is the best way for diasporans to coordinate an estate plan? that covers assets in both countries? Do we need to hire a US lawyer and a Ghanaian lawyer, and do they need to coordinate how best to approach that?
Okay, so for example, our firm, we coordinate with Dr. Mami Sapon's firm in Ghana. And so any will that we prepare for our Ghanaian clients, here in the US, we send them a copy to deal with over in Ghana. So that, like she said, the will, when you prepare one in the US, for example, it has to be domesticated in Ghana. So she will also have to do what she needs to do in Ghana in order to perfect it. I mean, so that you don't have the same assets being done in the US and the same things being done in Ghana, because we are both in the diaspora. We have assets in Ghana, we have assets in the US, and you don't want to duplicate the effort. So we coordinate in order to save money, to save time and our resources.
Thank God for services like that. I just have to say, it's pretty amazing. Terry Opong asks, how are USA life insurance proceeds treated if a beneficiary listed is based in Ghana at the time of passing?
All right, this is a very good question. I did invite one of my colleagues, who is an insurance agent, Dr. Himidi. She does a lot of insurance. But one thing I can tell you from practical experience, and also how I've handled situations for others, is that with the life insurance, you do have a designated beneficiary. So whether the beneficiary is in the US or is in Ghana, upon the demise of the person, the insurance companies will usually contact the beneficiaries, because when they fill out their forms, or they fill out the application, when they designate the beneficiaries, they will list where they live. I had a situation years ago where the woman passed away, but her children were in Ghana. So the insurance companies, and in fact, her children were minors. So they held on to the funds. They would not disburse it because they are minors until they got to the age of 18, and then they disburse it. So when one person became of age, then they will certainly give it to them.
And
Because
then
you already have designated beneficiaries.
and I saw Mommy Sapon come off mute. Mommy, did you want to add to that?
So I wanted to add to what Lawyer Fori said, that the beneficiaries are usually named, and so the insurance company would contact the beneficiaries, and then we proceed from there. So those are pretty straightforward.
Okay. Terry, I see your hand raised. I was about to go to the second part of your question. Were you about to ask that or another question? Terry?
Yeah, no, Audra, thank you, lawyer. No, the question is pretty very helpful. So just for context, I do have financial advisor experience, and I currently, work in the cross-border space. The question specifically is, how are the funds actually treated from a tax perspective? So yes, there's a beneficiary listed. The funds are sent from the US to Ghana. Question is, on the US side, they receive federal and, again, they're tax exempt. But once they come to Ghana, again, I'm just asking for broad knowledge. How would those funds be treated, right? Again, they're going to come to a Ghana bank account or other. Would the bank then tax those funds? That's the question, if your life insurance proceeds, right? Just asking for general clarification.
Oh, okay.
Right. So those are usually inheritance tax, or inheritance have tax components. So those will usually be classified as inheritance tax, and there's a percentage that goes with it. The tax experts will be able to tell, but they're largely considered as inheritance tax. And the same way, we also have gift tax. So those percentages then would apply. I don't know if your question is answered.
Yeah, and I'm going to shut up, I promise you. I know there's a lot of people. I guess the question becomes, is there a mechanism that would work in tandem with the U.S. side? Because if I have a client, let's say a Ghanaian doctor, they buy a policy here, right? In the U.S., they have no problem, right? We do all the estate planning here. Now you're saying when the funds get to Ghana, even though they're basically tax-free from the U.S. lens, to your point, Ghana is a sovereign country, there would be an inheritance tax. Is there any mechanism that can be put in place on the Ghana side that would mirror what the U.S. planning has done, right? Hey, I know in the U.S., my assets are basically tax protected. Now, you're saying when it goes to Ghana, there's inheritance tax, yes. But the point of doing this in the U.S. was to negate or minimize that. What can be done in Ghana, if anything, to do the same thing? And if there's nothing yet, happy to just get some clarity on that as well.
Right. So usually in Ghana, it'll be subject to tax. You could argue your way out, but most people would then do what we call a deed of gift. And with that one, you would have paid the tax at the point of registration. So then say when the person passes on, the beneficiaries don't have to pay anymore. But really it's you would have to pay tax if you do not do a deed of gift.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I think that's helpful because, to your point, it opens up a lot of opportunities for your side, because if that deed document is what would negate a tax, then a lot of people who want to buy life insurance here, it would behoove them to work with your office or others to do that as well, right?
Right. Yeah.
Thank you for that. And another question from MO. I'm a dual citizen, US, Ghana. Shout out to our dual citizens. Planning on retirement to live part-time in Ghana. Come on over. I've done it already. Even though I'm not retired. To live part-time in Ghana, part-time in the US. I have a living trust in the US covering assets in the US and a will in Ghana covering assets in Ghana. Okay, so you have a trust and a will. Does that create any issues upon my death?
Well, I don't think it will create any issues, but I will suggest that you do a similar will in the US. I mean, what you have in Ghana, since you have both assets in Ghana and the US, I would suggest that you can do a similar will in Ghana. But certainly, depending upon what assets are in the trust, if they have been funded, or in other words, you have changed the assets, the properties into the name of the trust, and you are the trustee of the trust, then that is different. But if not, you want to be able to make sure that you have actually transferred those names into the trust instead of just letting it sit. That I have a document, because a document is no good if it's not funded. The trust is no good if you have not actually made the actual transfer from your personal name into the name of the trust. You are muted, Mommy. Ajo.
Oh. I was going to say, he or she have said, I have transferred all assets into the trust and I am the trustee. So then does he still have, or she have issues?
No, then she shouldn't have any issues.
Okay.
Yeah, then she shouldn't have.
Okay. Pulling from that thread though, what if in an emergency situation, how should families prepare when there are key documents in two jurisdictions? Or is it that if the documents are duplicated in both jurisdictions, I would make sure that there are no issues? Or is there a situation where one jurisdiction will have precedent over the other?
No, I think, for example, in the US, if you have a will, for example, I mean, we usually keep one, the original, in the Register of Wills for safekeeping. But you can also keep one yourself. So, like what we do here with Dr. Mami's firm is that if the person has other assets in Ghana, we send them a copy of the will to have it filed at the Ghana High Court, or Mami, you can explain that, just to make sure that it is it becomes well accepted in the event of any demise.
Right. So just to add on to that, we would usually keep a copy, and then we deposit the wills in the registry of the High Court. So you can keep them there. And then some people also choose to deposit them with the banks. So for a small fee, you can have all your documents also being kept by the bank. And a lot more people are beginning to use those services though. But we keep them in the courts and they're safe. So we've read wills which have been deposited in the courts since as far back as 1950, 1940. You will still find them.
Amazing. Dr. Chantal, I believe you said you have a question that we may not have gotten to. Would you like to come off mute and ask your question?
Yes, I just wanted to see if anybody here can help me to acquire, the proper land registry that I have in Ghana.
Well, I think on that, probably Danny or Mami might be able to help.
Right.
You mean you've acquired the land in Ghana, you want to register
Want
it?
to register?
Yes.
Where is the land, please?
I have one at Dewenya and one in Abri area. I think two in
Okay,
Abri.
so yeah, so my contact is there. I'll assist you to register it. This one won't charge you anything because GH Pack is GH Pack. We'll just help you to connect you. That one is small money, it's small coins. It's not a lot of money. We like big money, so we'll help you.
Yeah, but that you're showing the value of being a GH Pack member, of which if you're not, make sure you are.
Yes.
But there are more perks coming with
We'll do it for free. Don't worry. We'll help you. Okay.
Okay, thank you very much.
Welcome.
As we get nearer to closing, we have time for 2 more questions after this one. So if you're being shy, don't be shy. This is, we're family. So please ask your question. Please. No, there's no silly question, okay? But I have one here. What red flags should people watch for when sending money home to build or maintain property? I'm sure that's a very broad question. There's plenty of red flags. But if you so you can name maybe top 3. Each of you can answer.
Can we allow the person to ask the question so that we really understand what?
They left. It looks like so they sent it as a private message, and then it looks like
okay.
Yeah.
It's broad, so we wish you can really ask.
Okay. All right. Well, okay, then let's get to Inez. Inez, you want to ask your question? And then if you guys want to come back to it, they can. Inez.
I have a question. If you're in a case with 2 questions, if there was a purchase for a property, right, but it's not listed, how do you research that purchase for a property? That's one question. And my next question is, if you have letters of administration with someone and they've gone on to conduct business without one of the parties on the letters of administration, how do you deal with that issue?
Okay.
I think Mami can take this. I didn't hear the first question well. If you can please repeat the first question.
Yes, I was going to ask about the first question. The second question, I'll take it. But if
the first question, if you can repeat it.
Right.
The first question is, if someone purchased a property some time ago, and you know that the property was purchased, and you have the paperwork, but there's been no mention of the property. How do you research it? And is it possible to essentially reclaim the property?
There's been no what? No mention. There's been no what?
Mention. Like there's paperwork for the purchase,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
But there's been no mention,
What is mentioned?
meaning there's no conversation about it. It like disappeared.
Oh,
Oh, in a will.
Well, okay,
no,
so no.
no,
Yeah, he's
no,
right.
no, no,
No.
no. I think the document you have, if it's a deed or an indenture, it should have a description of the property,
Mhm.
and then if it's in Ghana, a search can be conducted at the Lands Commission to make sure that it is a legitimate document. So if if I understand your question correctly, a search has to be done in the Lands Commission in order to ensure that it is properly titled.
Okay,
So
so
it
it's
is
a house.
just mhm.
So the property I'm asking about is a house that was purchased with a development company
Oh.
before its completion.
Mhm.
So they paid for it up front. They have the paperwork. I know it exists, but it seems to have like disappeared.
Okay, so let's ask you a question. When you say paperwork, what do you mean? What document do you have?
Deed of sale.
Contract of sale.
Yeah.
And you can't find the contract of sale.
No,
I
No,
have
she
that.
cannot.
You have them?
has it, but
Yes.
it looks like the property can't
Has
be
not been
located
titled. It has
or
not been
it's not been
registered.
registered. Is
By
that
the
it?
developer. The developer has not registered it. Is that what you mean?
No, it was registered because it was part of the development.
Okay.
But you
So
cannot
you
find the
can contact,
property itself.
so we can contact the developer with the document you have. They should be able to locate it. Maybe it's, so Danny can help us. Maybe they've acquired a larger portion of land. So that particular plot or those plots should be able to, it's easy to identify them with if they are within a larger scheme of things. Or better still, we can get a surveyor to go pick the actual coordinates. And then we use those coordinates to conduct a search at the Lands Commission. But once it's within a development, and Danny, correct me if I'm wrong, with the documentation you have, the real estate company, if it exists, should be able to locate those parcels of land.
Most definitely. So we can engage off after so that we clearly understand
Right.
and ask some questions more, and then we can assist.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the last one, she has a second
The
question.
second one. So you're saying that if you've been named as an administrator of
So
an estate, right? Yeah,
so
go
you
ahead, please.
we letters of administration were filed, right?
Right. Yes.
And so one party, right,
Mm-hmm.
proceeded to do business without
Mm-hmm.
another party.
Mm-hmm.
But the other party does have a dispute. Do you understand what I'm trying to say?
Yes. So then all the actions that have been taken by the party without the other party can be set aside. You see, when you become an administrator, as in you've taken letters of administration, it's two things. It doesn't mean that you can deal with the property. Somebody who has letters of administration is supposed to deal with the property for the benefit of all the beneficiaries. So you having letters of administration doesn't mean that you're the only person who can deal with the property. So if there were other beneficiaries who are not necessarily named as administrators or did not take letters of administration, then everything you do has to be with their consent. So where you've gone on to take actions and these people did not consent to it, you can challenge those actions.
Okay,
Hello.
so
Yeah.
if in that event, if it's
Right.
like multiple siblings, right?
Yes.
Can the action just be that the properties or whatever situation be divided?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, the properties can be divided and then it should be in equal shares. Because you see, unlike a will where it's stated specifically who it should go to. With respect to letters of administration, it's supposed to go to all the beneficiaries. Just that sometimes you can have 10 beneficiaries, so not all of them can take early. So maybe 2 will take it. It doesn't mean that those 2 can deal with the property to the exclusion of the others. It should be something that is joint. So where they've gone ahead to do something, I mean, to bring peace, you can decide that you will then split the property in equal proportions so that every beneficiary can benefit. But just one person cannot deal with the property to the exclusion of all others.
Okay. All right. And I have a question. If you do,
Ines,
okay.
I just want to make sure we let someone else ask a question, and then maybe if there's still time, we've got 9 minutes left. If there's still time, then we can come back to you. So Juanita, your hand has been raised. Thank you so much for your patience. Would you like to ask your question, please?
Yes. Hi, it's Chelsea, actually. Juanita is my middle name.
Hi,
How are you?
Good.
Guys, thank you very much for hosting or organizing this. I did have 2 questions. So one is with a property we have in Kumasi. I think I joined towards the end, but my grandfather pretty much died without a will. And now they're trying to sell that property. It's like a landed property, so a house and a land together. And I just wanted to get some clarifications because now what research is telling us is that the house still has to be put in someone's name before it can be sold. And my second question is also still with documentation. I did hear someone in Dawenya having issues with her land. I bought a land about 3 years. I've literally been in like the Ghana, I don't know what they call it, wherever they do the registration, like back and forth, back and forth. I still don't have my documents. So I just needed like those 2 things figured out. And thank you again for hosting.
Okay. I think
Okay,
Mommy can help.
so I think I'll take the first one. If your grandfather passed on, they're trying to sell the land, you have to take letters of administration. So the law is that when somebody passes on, you cannot deal with his property. If he died intestate, you cannot deal with his property without having taken letters of administration. So usually it would be the family head, and then maybe if he's survived by a spouse or some of his children, depend on how many children he has, but usually the family head and then the children will have to take on letters of administration. Because if you're going to sell the
So
property, I'm sorry?
that's the issue. So my grandmother also passed. So my
Right.
grandfather died maybe 10 years ago, but my grandmother just died like this year actually.
Right. And how many wives did your
That's when
grandfather
the kids
have?
are
Was it just your grandmother?
one side. So
Okay.
that's the problem.
Yeah, so any of your aunties, so your mother and his siblings, or depending on which side your grandfather is, will have to take out letters of administration first
Okay.
before you can even think of selling the property, because it is the letters of administration that would give you the authority to deal with the property. After letters of administration have been taken, then you can do a vesting assent. Now, these letters of administration will be taken by the beneficiaries. So your mother or your father and maybe 2 of her siblings will take out the letters of administration.
Okay. So that means technically they don't have to will the house to one of the children or
No.
Okay.
No. You take letters of administration, then they do a vesting assent. So the property will be vested in all the beneficiaries. Then when there's going to be a sale, it's going to be the vesting assent, which is going to give them the right to sell it. So that also ensures that when they sell it, everybody who's listed on the vesting assent also gets a share in the property.
Right.
So it doesn't have to be willed to one person.
Yeah, right.
Okay. And actually, I'm for more clarity on how to prepare the letters of administration. Is there like a point of contact or a card you're gonna drop on the chat for us?
So I've sent you, it depends on the value of the property. So you can contact me. I put my number on there. You can contact me and then we'll take it from there. So it depends on the value of the property and how much you're going to pay in court.
It's going for about $1,800,000 to $1 million, but it's negotiable depending on the terms of the offer. So yes, it's in a good area in Kumasi, opposite OAS, I think. But I can get
Right.
you all the details later
Well,
on today.
Yes, I think we can, yeah, so you can contact me and then we'll discuss that. Thank you.
Okay.
I actually invite all the speakers to please share your contact information.
Hello.
Done.
Folks have been in and out. So if you can reshare your contact information, phone number, and email. The Yankees like to email, mommy.
Sure.
So yeah, I think that was probably your WhatsApp number, but we like to
Okay,
email,
sorry.
you know, these type of things. And then, you know, Danny, I know you are really busy, but we appreciate the contact information, Mr. Fori, and your esteemed self, please.
Okay.
Okay, so we're actually going to close. But you know, I would like to invite each of you to just give some last thoughts. Now that you've heard some of the questions, you've heard the other speakers speak, do lightning round, 1 minute each of just some last thoughts, things that you want people to really know and understand. While they're thinking about that, everyone, thank you so much for attending this masterclass. Please, if you have questions that were not answered that you would like GHPAC to facilitate, you can email us at info@Ghana Diaspora, GhanaDiasporaPAC.org. If you have thoughts about this session, and also, because I think we're already talking about making this a series, so if you want us to get to other topics in this realm, please send us your thoughts. And then also you are invited to obviously contact these folks directly. If you make sure that you are on our listserv to find out about the next masterclass and upcoming activities and events, and as well as how to become a member. Shout out to Michael Owu, who just filled out his membership on this call
Great.
today.
Great.
Clap for yourself. Okay. All right. 1 minute lightning round. We'll start with perhaps Mame, and then we'll go to Danny and then Mr. Fori. So Mame, we'll start with you.
Sorry. Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh yeah, so thank you everybody. Thank you for the opportunity. I just hope that this has been helpful, and please get in touch with whatever issues you have. I'm sure Danny, Loyofori, myself, please get in touch. I don't think there's anything that we cannot help you to do. So get in touch, and thanks for the opportunity once again.
Okay.
Danny?
Hi, thank you so much for this opportunity. I think we should do more of this. Let's connect. We can always have these important conversations, and we're always available to connect with you, and do enjoy the rest of the week. Thank you so much.
And I saw you, I hope you guys saw that beautiful land. He said, oh, come and take. That's what he said.
And Royal Kingdom Estate is on all social media platforms. We are on YouTube, because we don't have anything to hide. We are everywhere. So just follow us and check out our progress as well. Thank you so much.
Okay, Mr. Ofori, I just want to give a special thanks to you. This was kind of out of our conversation, this idea came about.
Right.
Please share your thoughts.
Well, I think this has been very, very good and very, very informative, and I've really enjoyed it. And I thank you so much. And it is my hope that we will take these matters very seriously about our estate planning. And God has blessed us with so much wealth, and we are still in the process of acquiring wealth into for our children and our children's children. So let's make sure that we protect that which He has blessed us with by putting certain things in place. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And I'll be asking these experts for their feedback. GHPAC is very serious about this concept of a more smoother, streamlined process for diasporans to manage its assets and the process of estate planning and preservation. We believe it should be a coordination with the Lands Commission and with the Diaspora Affairs Office. perhaps also with foreign affairs. So if, we're policy folks at the end of the day. So we believe in trying to help improve the system to work better, and we'll work on that. Thank you guys so much for your time. Really appreciate it. Until next time.
Thank
Bye.
you. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much.
Oh, and we'll send Mame slides and then Danny's slides.
Okay.
Thank you.